Okay, so now we're going to learn how to put in a centered zipper. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two pieces of fabric, right sides together, and I'm going to pin them together like I always do along the raw edge with the pins perpendicular to the cutting line or to the raw edge. Next, I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to measure the distance I need. So there's a few terms that we need to know here. The fabric part of a zipper is called the zipper tape. This is called the zipper stop, the metal part at the end, and these are the zipper teeth. So I'm going to lay my zipper on my fabric here. So the top of the zipper tape is in line with the top of my fabric, and the distance between here and here is about 15 millimeters, or the seam allowance. And I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna measure where the zipper stop is. And it doesn't need to be pretty, it just needs to happen. Then I'm going to put this on my sewing machine, and I am going to start on the 15 line. I'm gonna put my needle in, I'm gonna back stitch, I'm gonna sew forward, still following the 15 line. And when I get to the marking I made for the zipper stop, or for where the zipper stop is, I'm gonna back stitch. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change my stitch length to 4, because I'm gonna do temporary stitches, and I'm gonna finish the rest of the seam with a 4 stitch length. Wow, that's some funky cutting. We're gonna pretend that was good cutting. Suspend disbelief, and I'm not going to back stitch. I'm just going to go right off the end. Okay, now if I wasn't doing a demo and I had an iron, I would press this flat. Of course, now my fabric won't separate. It's because I'm being filmed. And I'm going to separate this, and I'm going to finger press it. Okay, so that's pretty well finger pressed. And now I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to make sure that the teeth and the pull of my zipper are facing this seam. And I'm going to put it in place like this. And I'm going to just give it a few pins. I want it to, the center of the zipper to be centered right over my seam, hence the name centered zipper. Magic. So I stab myself, and I'm going to turn around, and again I'm just double checking to make sure that this is centered over the zipper. Ow. Happens frequently. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I actually need to change my presser foot for my machine, because the one I have on right now is is for doing regular things, and I need one that's narrower. So on this machine, this is the presser foot for it. On our other machines, this is the zipper presser foot. So I'm going to undo the screw, and I'm going to take this off. I'm going to put it in my accessory box so I don't lose it, and I'm going to put on my zipper foot. Of course, I didn't need the screwdriver. Now, what I want it to do is I want this needle to be in line with the edge, and it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to baste the zipper in place so it's temporary stitches. So I'm going to start, oops, do I want to do it that way? No, I want to do it this way. Oh, Jennifer at Workroom Social. It's like a class joke at this point. Okay, so I'm just going to baste this in place right along the edge of the zipper tape. It doesn't need to be pretty, it just needs to be there. So this is just temporary stitching. I think I'm off center. And I'm going to sew all the way around. Look at my pivot technique. Does somebody have a seam ripper I can borrow? So my zipper is now temporarily basted in place. I'm going to set my stitch length back to 2.5. And on the right side of my fabric, look at this beautiful stitching here. I'm actually going to open up that basting stitch, those basting stitches, trying not to stab myself with the seam ripper because that does hurt. Come on. Okay, so now I need to sew my zipper in place. I'm going to run into problems where my zipper pull is, so I'm actually going to start just below it. And this, the narrow part of my zipper foot, the edge of it, it's actually fitting into the teeth of the zipper. So I'm just going to put my hand wheel down, I'm going to back stitch just a little bit, and I'm going to sew along the edge. And normally I would clean up all this stuff first. Now where I need to slow down is when I get to that zipper stop, because it's metal and we know what metal on metal does. It's not a good plan. So I'm going to use my hand wheel and feel for the end of it. And then I'm going to pivot across the bottom and I'm going to hand wheel across the zipper tape. And that should be good. And then I'm going to sew. This is not my best centered zipper. There we go. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm actually going to go up as far as I can. And I'm going to put the needle in. I'm going to lift my presser foot and I'm going to open the zipper. Of course, I'm in a hurry, so it gets stuck. There we go. Put it down. And then now that that's open, I go back to the other side and I'd stitch that down and then I just rip out the temporary stitches and there's your centered zipper.